is Doctor. They're already making changes, but overwhelming presence. Why are you using items in their terror radius? I mean, the only one I can see that this actually does counter is like flashlights, because flashlights are gonna go crazy. But like they're using toolboxes when they hear your terror radius, especially as a doctor or as anybody else. They're not gonna just sit there. They're just gonna sit there and keep using the toolbox. If they are gonna keep using, or if they are gonna keep working on the gen or keep healing themselves, they'll either switch over to either using, if they have self-care or have someone else heal them, or they're going to switch over to just working on the gen normally because they get a notice that it's overwhelming presence. As far as how to change this, truthfully, I'm not sure. You might have to just do a full perk rework. Myers, they already touched on all this, and I like that. I mean, these perks are all pretty good in their own right. Bubba, everything's fine here. This is annoying as fuck to go up against, and it's kind of cunty, but, you know, it's not too overpowered. Knockout's great for certain builds. Barbecue and Chili is just the best perk in the game. These two perks are strong. Third Seal is garbage because blindness doesn't do anything. If you had blindness do more, I could see it, or if it was a different status effect, I could see it being good. This just needs to change to a different status effect, or you need to make blindness better. That's the only way to fix this one. Or maybe, yeah, blindness is just a weak status effect. The only way that I can see this possibly being better is if they took it, if they didn't make it a hex perk. Like blind someone for the whole game. Kind of like Sloppy Butcher. Every time you get hit, you're blind. But except you can't heal this one off. Then it kind of ruins people that run Bond. But again, it'll ruin maps. Like map users can't do shit then. But again, it's just not worth it. Nurse, I think all these are fine. I think Strider should counter. I think Strider should counter Iron Will, and Iron Will should be knocked back. Instead of Iron Will being 100%, you're quiet with tier 3, make it 75%. That's still going to be quite quiet. And especially if somebody's running Strider, then Strider does something. Then you reduce it to 50%. But with someone 100%, Strider doesn't even help with that. You can actually only hear them then when they're standing, because then you get the regular breathing that's 50% louder, rather than when you injure them, now you have to follow them. Otherwise, if you lose them, you're losing them. Tinkerer, I honestly think Tinkerer is fine by itself. This is just made better with the undetectable status. Enduring, obviously, that's been changed for the better. It should never have worked against D-Strike, because then D-Strike is useless, really, because if they're running Enduring, the fuck does it matter? Lightborn, this just doesn't need to be there. Like, this is not a problem. Oh, you know, that's, yeah, you know, that's fair. I always forget that it's 80. I don't run it, so I always forget it's 85%. I'm going to agree with you on that one. 75% or even 70%. I think that'd be better, because then you have a chance to react to it, especially with how fast gens go. But I think it should be based on tiers. So at tier 1, you could have it 85%, tier 2, 80, tier 3, 75. This way, tiering it up matters. Yeah, that's a good call. Thank you for catching that. Lightborn, this is one I genuinely don't know what to do. I honestly have no idea how you would fix this, because I get what they're trying to solve, but it's not an issue. Yeah, I think it would just need a complete rework. Change the name, change everything about it. I would say keep the icon and make it something with aura reading. You know, make it another aura perk in a way. If we didn't have Bitter Murmur, I would say make this into Bitter Murmur, because that would make sense. Because, you know, they generate light with the generator and just increase the distance. That's another one. Bitter Murmur, increase the distance away from the generator from 16 meters up to like 20 meters or 24. Not insanely far, but just so you get a better idea of where they're running. Predator, this is good for learning, but it just is shit once you get further into the game. So I'm fine with keeping, honestly. Shadowborn, I like this. I honestly do like this perk, because that field of view can be very helpful. Modern Abuse does the same thing, just to a lesser extent by 5 degrees. But it was there first, so I get that. I get that this has to stay the way it is, and I do agree with that. It should also maybe reduce the fog a little bit. That's a very, very minor change, but this way, if people want to bring fog offerings, you can kind of counter them. It's not, that's just a little niche thing where it's not going to matter at high ranks, but it's just a little nice thing to throw in there. Again, helping people that are new to the game, because people that are new to the game aren't going to buy killers right off the bat. They're going to start with the base ones. This way, Shadowborn helps them out a bit. Bloodhound, honestly, it's fine with what it does. It's not a good perk, but it's never meant to be a good perk. It's just to help kind of get used to blood splatter and make it easier to see. Certain maps like Larry's and the game, you can already see blood pretty well, but other maps like the Pale Rose or any of the Blackwater Swamps, you really can't see blood that well. So this one, I'd say probably keep it, just because with Sloppy Butcher, it's kind of a funny combo, that Sloppy Thanatophobia and then Nurse is Calling. Like some kind of combo like that would just... Not every perk needs to be up there, obviously. They like Monstrous Shrine, you just need to make the numbers better so it's actually worth it for a basement build. But it's the same with like Agitation. Yeah, exactly. And I think you need the beginning killers to be like that. They need to be beginner friendly, because once you get to higher tier playing, you're not going to have just the base perks. Nobody at rank 1 is going to have just the base perks on a killer. They're going to have a lot more perks, because they give you many ways without paying on how you can get perks in this game, between leveling up the killer or just spending your iridescent shards, which are given for free. Moving on, Agitation, it's fine for what it does. It's very, very good at what it does, and it's another beginner-friendly one, but it's also fun for basement builds. Brutal Strength, beginner friendly and just good all around. It is just a solid perk, and the change, and honestly, the 20% is actually very, very noticeable, and I like it. I wouldn't mind maybe testing the waters. I would say throw it on PTB as a test to see how crazy it would be. Maybe push it to 25 or 30%. If it's too crazy, keep it. It doesn't need to be changed. It'd just be a quality of life thing. It doesn't need to be changed at all. I'm not going to say that it needs that, but it'd be interesting to see how it goes. Unnerving Presence, this is honestly fine, because it's only for specific builds, mainly the Doctor's Terror Radius build, the impossible skill checks. It's also good because it's a beginner perk for survivors in a way. Because if you want to hit like brand new part skill checks and you want to hit overcharge skill checks, this is going to teach you that a lot. This is going to teach you that more, because when it's reduced by 60%, that's a very hard skill check to hit, especially suddenly. So it's going to teach them to get better at the game. And like this late, when you get to higher tiers, unless you have it combined with all this distressing and this and that and the other, yeah, it's not going to matter as much. But it's nice too, because it also works on Decisive Strike. If it didn't work on Decisive Strike, that would be the only thing I would say change, is make that so Decisive Strike works. We get to the Oni. I think these perks are fine for what they are. This doesn't really do too much, but you can't have a winner in all of them. There's probably some build out there that people know about that this is helpful with. Who knows? Blood Echo is an amazing perk as it is. Nemesis is great, especially with any combination with Play With Your Food. Demogorgon. This is one that, yeah, that's why I said it's kind of fine on how it is. It's not great, but it is another beginner-friendly one. Surge, this one I think should be based on Terror Radius. That's the only change. Keep it, base it on Terror Radius. I think it's fine, because then you have distressing builds that make this insane, because you can pop more gens than just 1 or 2, if that. You can pop like 3 gens. I personally don't know if it works with Pop Goes the Weasel, but you could potentially do that too. This way with Pop, if you suddenly get into a chase after hooking someone, you can take advantage of it by popping a few gens. Or if you want to, it does work with Pop, but it only works on 1 generator randomly. It'll randomly just pop whatever. It'll randomly just use Pop Goes the Weasel on one of those 2 or 3 generators that you hit. It only works with surveillance. Really? That's kind of nice, though. At least it works with surveillance. That makes it a little bit better, because at least in surveillance. The other thing that I would say is change this so it's not basic attacks. Change it so you can down them with anything. This way, chainsaw killers get some love there. This way, Demogorgon's fucking shred gets some love. Mindbreaker. At top tier, or at top tier, it lasts for 3 seconds off of it. But it shouldn't be less than 50%. I think it should just be the generator in general, because it really only counters sprint burst. But don't make it be 50%. Make it just be during the entire generator. It's still not going to be top tier, but it's going to be a little bit better. It still counters sprint burst. It'll still counter lithe, bounce landing, possibly dead hard, depending on the situation. But it is one where also if they want to use that, all they have to do is get to a pallet, throw it down, and then they wait 3 seconds while you break it, and then they can take off a sprint burst, or they can take off with live, balance landing, whatever they want. Like, just change that 50%, and you're golden. That's it. Cruel limits. I feel like this one should have a similar effect where, first of all, increase it from 24 meters to 32. Second of all, don't have it be when a generator is completed. Have it when a generator is at, make it like Tinker. When a generator is at 75%, everything's blocked off. This way, if they want to finish that generator, they have 20 or 30 seconds. They want to finish that generator, good. You have no way of getting out now, and you may have lost the generator, or you may be able to react to it, but now everything's blocked for the most part, and you have to stop using the generator, and the killer can come check it out. Give them a little auditory notification that windows and vaults were blocked. So you can make your way over there, and if you're in the area, you can hit it. If you're not in the area and you're across map, you can start making your way there, and they could probably get it done by then, and the timer will be up. It's a fine, healthy balance. Yeah, that's the point, is to make gens risky. You don't want to make it where just because they finish a gen, now they can't get anywhere, because places like Hawkins Labs have plenty of areas to just jump down from, and then balance landing takes over. But at least make it so they're a little on edge. I'm gonna be crazy like that. 60 seconds should be fine. Yeah, 60, maybe bring it down to 50. Just because with how quick gens go, you can reduce the cooldown and still make it fine. You don't want to make it don't make it too long, because in 60 seconds they can get another whole gen done, or even half of a gen, or half of a few gens. For this, I think Thrilling Tremors is fine here. You could increase the duration if you really want to. Doesn't really need a change. Furtive Chase should just be outside of a chase. When it's outside of a chase, your terror radius drops by 4 meters for each token. Simple as that. But if you get the max stacks, then if your obsession dies, another obsession is chosen at random. This way you can keep your stacks, but it doesn't punish you for going after the obsession or killing someone who either killed themselves on hook or is gone. It just chooses a new obsession. I'm all ears. This one just needs a complete change in general. It doesn't work. It doesn't work in this current state, because nobody's going to just randomly be sprint vaulting 48 meters out for no reason. It's usually just in a chase. So that one just needs a complete overhaul. I think Corrupt Intervention is fine how it is. It should be the bigger half, though. It should be 4 gens instead of 3. Slow them down. Okay. On Nurse, yes, but if you're basing it for 1 killer, then it's fine. If you want to base it for all killers, though, change that. Corrupt Intervention, cover up 1 more gen, you're fine there. That's it. 4 gens, you 3 gen them off the start of the game, so they can play around with that, or they could potentially get caught early on. Infectious Fright is fine. There's nothing else really to say about that. Dark Devotion is a fun idea, but I don't know. I feel like it should just be anytime you hit a survivor. You can really cause a lot more chaos. You can increase the cooldown then on it, but make it be any survivor. Just really have people going fucking crazy. Just because you hit someone and now somebody else hears a terror radius, but now you can split off and chase someone else and they don't even know. Or you can go somewhere else with, say, Discordance. Two people are on gens. You can go over there now with no terror radius, and the other person's running away with the terror radius towards someone else to go get heals. Exactly. Make it much scarier. We've already been over Legion. Spirit. All of these are fine. Rancor is just a cunty perk. That's just how it's supposed to be. But I get it. If it's endgame and you got Gen Rush, you can at least get 1 kill. So I wouldn't really make any changes to these, because Spirit Fury is fine how it is. It definitely doesn't need a buff at all. Haunted Grounds is absolutely okay. I like the idea of it. It's a little too obvious when you don't have a totem perk, but that's why you got to combine it with something. And like I said, Rancor is just a cunty perk. Chlorophobia is fun for memes, but maybe instead of just healing progress, you could change it to also gen progress. So this, because then it's still different from Unnerving Presence. So it does slow down gens a little bit. Reduce the penalty, of course, because I know at tier 3 it gets insane. I don't know how much, but I know it gets a lot stronger. So reduce the penalty, but have it affect healing and gens. So you can do builds with that. Pop is fine. I wish it would... actually no, pop's fine. 40 seconds is fine. I just wish I wouldn't have pop tier 1 all the time. I need pop tier 2 or 3 is much better, so it lasts. And Bamboozle. Bamboozle is fine for what it does. If you really want to give it anything stronger, either increase the duration that Bamboozle lasts or let it block 2 windows, but I think at anything more than 1 window is just a little too insane. Pig is fine for their 2 perks, but Hangman's Trick needs to just be completely reworked. This is just stupid. This is just poor designing. It's trying to solve another problem that just doesn't exist. I'd say if you want Hangman's Trick to be something interesting, have it be anytime that a hook is destroyed or anytime a hook is used. So say you 3 hooked a survivor and that hook is destroyed, that hook can come back after 30 seconds. So this way you can never lose a hook. Keep the rest of it, but also include the fact that if you use a hook and it's taken down by either breakdown or by them dying on it, it'll come back in 30 seconds. Makes it a little bit better. It's it turn it more into a beginner friendly in a way, because then you don't have to try to look for a lot of hooks. Or this way also survivors can't just run to a corner of the map and go, haha, I got you now, you can't hook me. No, it's just, okay, well, I'll hook you back on this hook right here. Makes it a little bit better, but I would honestly need more time to think about this before I just say that that's the only change. You could also just do a complete overhaul. But I think if you want to keep it on the basis of hooks, that's going to be a lot better. Oh, Freddy. Remember Me was already nerfed down. Remember Me's fine where it's at now. This used to be so fucking annoying to go up against when it was like 20 seconds extra. I think the only thing though is don't let the obsession, let the obsession also be affected by Remember Me. Because at that point then, after you get your stacks, you just tunnel the obsession down so everybody else can't escape. Blood Warden is fine, especially with the endgame collapse. Blood Warden is absolutely okay. People 99 gens anyway. Or gates. Fire Up though completely needs to be changed. Instead of for each generator, you gain the stackable bonus. I think this should be changed to for every hook. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was just getting on the lines of saying. Just make it work like Dying Light. Every time you get a hook, you get this stackable action speed bonus. Make it more than 3% or whatever it is at tier 3. Make it 5%, but make it cap at I don't know, 6 or 7 tokens. Don't make it an obsession perk either. Just after 7, it's done, and you have that the whole game. So what, you get basically brutal strength out of it. You can pick up people faster, and you can vault faster. You don't need to throw anything else in there. Because if you throw too much in there, then it's going to be too overpowered. Huntress's Lullaby. Make it affect pig boxes too, for 1. I think it was supposed to be all skill checks. I mean, the regression is already given to pig skill boxes. If they mess up, they also get that bonus regression. Make the no skill check warning happen with pig boxes for just a side thing. But give it something more. Start reducing, based on your tokens, instead of, like, first token never lasts for me. Yeah, Lullaby doesn't last. You can keep it a hex perk, but make it so not only does the sound between the skill checks become shorter and eventually leading to no skill check warning, but also at no skill check warning and at 3 or 4 tokens, start reducing the size of skill checks. So you still have to hook people. It's still, you get that little bit of a warning, but now it's also like a combination of unnerving presence. And then you can kind of punish them on skill checks a bit more. It'd make it insane with overcharge. Overcharge skill checks would almost never get hit. Territorial Imperative. This just needs to be completely reworked. If you want to make it some kind of basement perk, give you a notice whenever somebody enters the basement. Sure, but I don't know. This just needs to be reworked, honestly. Make the regression more relevant. Yeah, exactly. Because right now, if you just pay attention, Huntresses, you'll hit the skill check. Territorial Imperative just needs to be changed, though. Beast of Prey makes no sense why it would give you undetectable if you're in Bloodlust Tier 1. Instead, Beast of Prey could be... If you enter a chase with a survivor who's bleeding, who's in the injured state, Bloodlust Tier 1 comes up sooner. Or you can also make it kind of like a Bloodhound effect where it's a little bit brighter. And you get Bloodlust Tier 1, I wouldn't say immediately off of the chase, but you get it sooner. Or it also doesn't disappear when kicking a pallet. So if you get stunned, if you hit a pallet, Bloodlust doesn't disappear on the first pallet. It'll disappear on like the second or third. This way you can kind of end chases sooner as 110 movement speed killers, or you can make chases a lot faster with 115 movement speed killers. But if they go from pallet to pallet, you got rid of 2 pallets, good, but now you lost your Bloodlust, and now it's not going to come back. It's going to have a cooldown. Also get rid of Noed. Noed just shouldn't be there. It's too much of a crutch perk. Spies is fine the way it is because it's another beginner perk. Monstrous Shrine, I mentioned what we had to do to change that. Insidious should not be in the game. It just is a cause for camping. Deerstalker is fine for a beginning perk. I kind of like Thrill of the Hunt's idea. Iron Grasp is fine. Maybe increase the wiggle timer a little bit more. It's really all I got for any ideas for now on